Have you ever walked into the kitchen and, poof, forgotten why you went in there? Laughs, shaking their head. Or maybe you've introduced your neighbor to someone twice in the same week. Trust me, I've been there. A few years ago, I started noticing my memory wasn't as sharp as it used to be. I'd misplace my glasses, blank on names, you know the drill. But then I stumbled onto something so simple, so downright fun, that it changed everything. And no, it's not some expensive brain training app or a pill. It's a free little game you can do in your pajamas with a cup of tea. Let me show you how it works. Now, I know what you're thinking. Games? At my age? Isn't that for kids? Leans forward, grinning. But here's the kicker. Science says your brain is like a muscle. The more you play with it, the stronger it gets. In fact, studies show that just 15 minutes a day of the right kind of mental exercise can slash your risk of memory loss by up to 30%. And the best part? It doesn't feel like work. It feels like, well, recess for grown-ups. Let's dive into brain game number 1, the 5-minute word sprint. My friend Martha, she's 72 and sharper than a tack, calls this her morning brain coffee. Here's how it works. Grab a pen, a scrap of paper, and set a timer for 5 minutes. Your mission? Write down as many words as you can that start with the letter S. Pauses, eyes twinkling. Sounds easy, right? But wait, there's a twist. They all have to fit a category, like things in a garden or foods you loved as a kid. Martha's record is 27 words in 5 minutes. Me? I'm lucky if I hit 15 before I start yelling at the clock. Here's why this works. Your brain has to scramble to recall, categorize, and create, all at once. It's like a triple espresso for your neurons. And if you're thinking, but what if I get stuck? Waves a hand. That's the point. The struggle is where the magic happens. My first try, I blanked after shovel and sunflower. But by day 3, snail, sprinkler, even soil pH popped into my head. The key is to make it playful. Compete with your grandkids over Zoom. Challenge your book club, or just race against yesterday's score. Now, let's talk about brain game number 2, the puzzle switch up. This one's for the rebels. Grins. My husband used to groan when I'd dump out a 500-piece puzzle of the Eiffel Tower. But then I tried something sneaky, mixing 2 puzzles together. Holds up mismatched pieces. Sounds chaotic? Good. Forcing your brain to sort through the noise boosts focus and problem-solving skills. Start small, 2 100-piece puzzles with similar colors. Rookie mistake, trying a beach scene and a snowscape. Let's just say I still find penguins in my tropical paradise. Here's the secret sauce. The frustration you feel when you can't find the right piece? That's your brain growing new connections. A study from UCLA found that seniors who did puzzles just twice a week had brains that looked 4 years younger on scans. Not bad for a $5 thrift store hobby, huh? And if puzzles aren't your thing, try this. Take a familiar recipe and cook it backward. Start with dessert, work your way to appetizers. Winks. Your grandkids will think you've gone mad, but your brain will thank you. Now, I'll be honest, some days you won't feel like playing games. You'll think, what's the point? I'm too old for this. Pauses, nodding. But here's what I've learned. Consistency beats perfection. Miss a day? No guilt. Just grab that pen tomorrow. Because every time you stretch your mind, you're building a safety net for your memories. And that net? It's worth weaving. Up next, I've got a game that'll surprise you. It involves these, a kitchen timer, and a dash of mischief. But before we get there, I want you to try today's 2 games. Scribble those S words. Mix up those puzzles. Then meet me back here, and we'll turn up the fun and the brain gains. All right, let's kick things up a notch. Because who says brain games can't have a little drama? Holds up the deck of cards. Meet brain game number 3, the memory match marathon. Now, I know what you're thinking. Card games? Really? But stick with me. My buddy Joe, who's 78 and still runs his weekly poker night, swears this game saved his memory after his doctor warned him about senior moments. And trust me, Joe's not the meditating type. He's the espresso at midnight type. Here's how it works. Take 10 pairs of cards, could be a standard deck, or even grandkid flashcards if you're feeling wild. Shuffle them, lay them out, and set a timer for 3 minutes. Your goal? Find all the matches before the buzzer. Pauses, leaning in. But here's the twist. Every time you flip a wrong card, you have to name 3 things in the room that start with, let's say, the letter B. Snickers. Last week, I ended up shouting banana, book, buttons. At my cat. She was unimpressed, but my hippocampus? Fired up. Now, why does this work? Because it's not just memory, it's adaptability. Your brain's scrambling to track cards and pivot to a new task under pressure. It's like cross-training for your neurons. And if you're worried about speed, don't be. Start with 5 pairs. No timer. Build up slowly. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to keep your mind nimble. Flips open the album. My sister-in-law Carol uses vacation photos instead of cards. She'll lay out pics from her cruise to Alaska and match glacier to glacier while reminiscing. Genius, right? Now, let's talk about a game that's hiding in plain sight, the grocery list challenge. Every Sunday, my neighbor Louise does something brilliant. She writes her shopping list, then burns it. Pauses for effect. Okay, not literally. She stashes it in a drawer. At the store, she tries to recall everything without peeking. If she forgets the peanut butter, tough luck. But here's the kicker. She's gone from forgetting half the list to nailing it 90% of the time. And she credits it to this little game. To try it yourself, start small. Write down 3 items you need. Hide the list. Head to the kitchen and see if you can grab them all. Winks. Bonus points if you add a mystery item, something random like a red spoon or a can of beans. It forces your brain to stay alert, even during mundane tasks. Louise's record? Recalling 15 items and spotting a blue spatula she'd never noticed before. Who says errands can't be an adventure? Now, I'll let you in on a secret. The best brain games aren't games at all. They're tiny rebellions against routine. My friend Ernie, 80 years young, recently started brushing his teeth with his non-dominant hand. Says it's like waking up a sleepy side of his brain. Mime's awkwardly brushing left-handed. Is it messy? Absolutely. But his focus has skyrocketed. So here's your homework. Tonight, try something backward. Dial a phone number from memory. Take a new route to the mailbox. Stir your tea counterclockwise. Grins. Chaos is your brain's personal trainer. Look, I won't sugarcoat it. Some days, these games will feel silly. You'll think, shouldn't I be doing something important? But here's the truth. Protecting your memories is important. Every match you find, every list you recall, every toothbrush switch-up is a love letter to your future self. And that future self? They're going to be thrilled you showed up. Final points in conclusion. You know, my favorite part of this journey hasn't been the games themselves. It's been the stories they've unlocked. Like the time my cousin Rita dug up a childhood memory while playing brain game number 4, The Time Traveler's Tale. Let me explain. Here's how it works. Close your eyes and pick a random year from your past, say 1978. Now, describe that year using 3 senses. What did it smell like? Fresh cut grass? Your mom's perfume? What did it sound like? Maybe Elvis on the radio or your dad's old pickup truck. Pauses, smiling. Rita chose 1965 and ended up recalling her first dance. The scratchy tool of her dress, the tang of punch, the way her heels clacked on the gym floor. By the end, she was grinning like a teenager. And guess what? That vivid recall? It's like fertilizer for your memory banks. Here's the science bit. Smells and sounds are time machines for your brain. They activate the hippocampus, the memory HQ, better than any quiz. So raid your spice rack, dust off old records, or bake your grandma's pie recipe. Let your senses lead the way. My buddy Frank keeps a memory jar filled with scraps of fabric, dried lavender, even a seashell from his honeymoon. When he pulls one out, he tells its story aloud. Some days, it's 2 minutes. Others, 20. But every time, he's weaving those neural pathways tighter. Now, let's get real for a second. None of this works if it feels like homework. The moment it becomes a chore, toss the rules out the window. Laughs. My rule? If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Take brain game number 5, the reverse riddle. Once a week, I ask my grandkids to stump me with riddles. The cornier, the better. What's orange and sounds like a parrot? A carrot. Groans playfully. It's silly, sure, but scrambling for answers keeps my brain limber. And honestly, their giggles are the best medicine. Over these 3 videos, we've talked about word sprints, puzzle chaos, memory marathons, and time-traveling tales. But here's the golden thread, curiosity. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up, day after day, with the wonder of a kid at a magic show. Because every time you play, you're telling your brain, you still matter. You're still growing. And that message? It's everything. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one game that sparks joy, just one, and try it for a week. Jot down the moments you surprise yourself. Did you remember an old friend's phone number? Recall a recipe without peeking? Laugh when your brain served up a wild riddle answer? Winks. Those little wins? They're your proof. You're not just preserving memories. You're creating them. Now, I'd love to hear your stories. Drop a comment below. What game made you smile? What memory came rushing back? Let's build a treasure chest of tips together. And if this resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit like, share it with someone who needs a brain boost, and subscribe. Because growing older isn't about slowing down, it's about lighting up. Keep playing, keep thriving, and remember, every day is a new chance to surprise yourself. Thanks for hanging out with me. Now go out there and make some magic.